I'm going to try and lead us today. So we're beginning with Eva.
A very big welcome to you all to our final webinar. This closes the stage of our journey as the Susannah Rookwood family. 6 months ago, we began our journey, and since then, we've had many meetings, individual and in groups and provinces. Meetings which have helped us to get to know each other. My outstanding memory of the last 6 months was of a CJ sister who came to the meeting with our province and shared this sentence. When we look into each other's eyes, we know that we are one. So it is in this spirit that we come together for our final webinar, which closes this stage of our journey, but may it be only the beginning of all that is to come. As we continue to look into each other's eyes and deepen the friendships which have begun.
Thank you, Eva. And now if we could have a moment silent prayer. And now we have our poll, which will be led by Esther.
Yes, we thought it would be good to know a little more about you and where you're all from. And so you will see now a poll appearing on your screen. And we invite you to answer the questions. I'll read the questions and the answers so that they can be translated. Which is your province? First answer, English province CJ and English region IBVM, Albania. Second, Ireland, South Sudan. Third, Latin European province, Italy and Romania. Middle European province, Austria, Germany, Hungary, South Tyrol. The next answer is Slovakia, Czech Republic, Russia, Ukraine. And the last is Spain, CJ and IBVM, or Morocco. Nearly half of you have already answered the question, and we're excited to see that so many sisters from different regions have joined us. I see some people still trying to find the correct answer. Now, 99 of you have voted, and we see that we're really from very different places, and it's great to be together here. I see in the chat that somebody is missing Albania. And Albania is with the English province of CJ and English region of IBVM, as well as Albania, it's the first answer. So if you're from Albania, just click the first answer. Thank you very much. So I hope everyone has a good oversight how diverse and far distributed this is. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thank you, Esther. And now Cecilia will present a resume of the activities we have done as ambassadors over the last 6 months.
Right. Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to tell you about our experience and all we've tried to do over the last 6 months. So here, first of all, you have the Susannah Rookwood Europe. It is our region and with our special patron. And Susannah Rookwood is the woman who faithfully dedicated her life to the founding of Mary Ward's Institute. And we recognize her courage, her stamina, her generosity, as she made the image of God present to the world in her day. So there you see our Europe and our Susannah. So the next one. We have the ambassadors and team for the process as we move towards union. So if you just look at this image, you will see Margot, Monica, Ekaterina, Cecilia, Mary Luke, Una, Abiela, Judith, Maria Paz, Anna, Eva, and our team, Esther, who's been looking after the technology, and Isabel, our translator. So there you have us. And here you have our first meeting with our animators, Elena, CJ, and Judy, IBVM. And you'll see them there in the group, so we have to give them a big wave and a big hurrah. Now, we were given a mandate, and just to remind ourselves, what we were asked to do. And it basically says the ambassadors will provide opportunities to help in getting to know members of the other branch through all possible means. Now you have 2 points there. One is provide opportunities, and the other is through all possible means. And we were mandated to liaise with members, to create spaces, networks, projects to share information and tell stories about our founding, our history, our life and mission today, as far as it is possible in these COVID restricted times. And we were asked to work on shared projects to know and appreciate the gifts and talents of members of the other parts of the world, or by other creative means and suggestions. So you can see they asked us to be as creative as possible, and you can judge if that was so. This was our journey for the last 6 months. The timeline. We began our tasks as ambassadors. You'll see there It was on the 23rd of November of 2020, and it has been 6 months since we first met, and we're just finishing off now at the end of May. So that has been a very full and exciting 6 months for us. Now, a couple of points about getting started. Some in the group had met before and others had never met. So you see, learning to work together and learning skills and tools that we need for communication today was a basic need as we came together. We had a task before us with lots of countries, provinces, and languages. So we had quite a lot of learning to do right from the beginning. And it was a lovely experience. Now, here's an example of some of the tools we had to learn. For example, well, now everyone knows WhatsApp, right? So that was no problem at all. I don't know if everyone knows paddle, but we all began to learn paddle. Zoom was quite new for some of us. Then where do you store all the information? Where do we share? You know, Dropbox and Drive, that was quite a learning for some of us. And then other different technology tools as well, which you'll see later on we have been using. Okay, so now we get to our first step. And the very first thing we did was to create a survey throughout the Susannah Rookwood region, asking, what would you like to know about the other branch? We received an extensive feedback, not only on content, but with ideas about tools we might use. You know, that was all very helpful. You see, and you see there that the program for the coming months was built on that survey. So the second step was we distributed a list of links of the web pages and Facebook pages available of provinces and regions. So here you have the list. So you've probably seen that at some point early on. You know, you may have forgotten about it, but we did share it, right? And we also encouraged members, you know, to use Google Translation if that text was not in your language when you went into a web page. If it was not in your language, copy it, put it in Google Translate, and you'll see it in your own language. And many of the webs also had automatic translation. So there was really no difficulty there about the languages, you know. But and then as we did this, at the same time, we began to think about gathering the whole region on a virtual platform, which was the Zoom, and the preparation for that took quite some time. So there. Then, as well as being focused on the task, and we were focused on the task right from the beginning, but we said we're also a group that's new to working together. So we had a very lovely Christmas celebration for ourselves, you know. It was quite delightful, and Margot led that for us and really kind of helped us to remember, no, we're all in this and we're all this little group working together. Right, move on. Then the next, first big event really before Christmas was the webinar. And we held that on the 19th of December, and you know it was a delightful experience really, and we know it was appreciated, and it was unforgettable for those of us who were organizing it. You may not have been too aware of this, but for us the translation didn't work except for the Spanish. So those who had would have loved to hear it in their own language just had a difficult time, but Hungary had Plan B ready, and they got themselves going in their own way when the official translation broke down. So that was quite exciting to see that and to see how we get over the difficulties. So then that webinar, the idea behind it basically was to introduce the Susannah Rookwood ambassadors to reflect on the life of Susannah Rookwood as our patron on the journey, and to share feedback on the members and what members wanted to know about the other branch because at that stage, we already had feedback from you. So we were able to give you some idea of what you were asking us to do. Now, we also prepared a Christmas card for you with all the languages of the region. You see, so you've got a lovely selection there, all beautifully put together and distributed to you. Then, right after Christmas, we got going with great impetus because we knew we had a lot ahead of us. Based on the information received, we organized activities in the following areas, and activities to include groups and individuals. And I'll just name them now, and we'll go into more detail later on. For example, here you have getting to know you personally, and we had contact information and tell me about your life. We had the history of the countries in Susannah, Rookwood region. There was interest in knowing about that. There was interest in the ministries in our region. And then there were groups and individuals within the region that would like special attention. And then province to province get to know you meetings. So we had all of that ahead. So we went to that a bit now. Here you have the template of the information that we gathered so that people could get together, those who were interested could contact other members and could do so freely. So with that information then, we compiled it and we distributed the whole list to the people who were on that list, and we accompanied it with a little document called Tell Me About Your Life. And this Tell Me About Your Life was actually based on questions asked in the original information gathering we did before Christmas. So there you had, like, what do people want to know? So what can I begin by telling about my life? So that was sent to all those interested in participating. There was huge interest in history, in the history of our countries where we live. So then, as well as that, very specifically, a short history was needed, right? Our archivist got going and we soon produced a 2-page history of each country. And not only that, the archivist continued working on the history, and this time with a photo history. So we have lots of clearly explained history of the different countries in the Susannah Rookwood region, and it is delightful to have all that information about our history, and it was highly appreciated. Then, on the other hand, we were all interested in our ministries and apostolates. So the province secretaries and communication offices began working on this, and they prepared information on the apostolates and the ministries in our provinces. And they were presented in at least one format, and sometimes two, and with a lot of photos as well, so that you could really get a good idea from the images that were being presented. So a big thanks to all of those who were involved. And then there was a specific group because of the age of the province to begin with. So many of us are actually in care home and infirmaries. So then the idea of putting the different groups of elderly, of people in infirmaries in contact, that was important for us. So we invited them to get in contact and to share information and photos of whatever they wished to in this respect. So we had the addresses, the names of the person in charge of the community, whether a sister or a lay coordinator. And then in the different provinces, each specific community worked on it in their own way. So, and I think the most visible of the whole lot and the largest initiative was the province getting to know you meetings. That is the province to province. most of you have probably been at about 3 of these meetings, but some of us have been at up to 8 of them. We managed to get into practically all of them, which was great. So that has been a learning, not only about the other, shall we call it the other branch, but it's also about our own branch. You know, those of us who are actually, for different reasons, able to be at meetings of our own branch, that was always helpful for us as well. It's been a very kind of interesting experience, and the fact that we were in the COVID pandemic meant that we could actually, you know, it was easier to do this. So you have seen lots of images like this, and you've seen them come up all over the place. And then when we were preparing for these meetings, like we would prepare a kind of little invitations, and each province did it in their own way. So here, I'm just going to show you some examples of the invitations that came up. There you have, there's another one, others, and they're dashing off there. Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, and now we move on to another little piece, because while we were doing our task, at the same time, the generalist, the Joint Communications Office was hard at work, and Aurora, who is the communications director, she did an amount of work which was important for us. Now you can see here up at the top you have the web page for the union. Down here you have the Mary Ward, it's a Facebook page, right? And Aurora invites people to she either interviews them or invites them to send information, and she puts that on the web page or on the Facebook page, right? So that's kind of one part of it. But then she also created a Mary Ward Women group on Facebook. Now, these groups are fascinating because anybody can upload your photos, your comments, whatever you like, you can upload them personally there. And when we saw this, we thought, well, this is a very good opportunity for us. So we decided that we would do a little project whereby we could work specifically with this group, right? So we called it the Getting to Know You, Getting to Hope You Like Me. That was our little project, and it consisted of homemade videos. And the idea was that everybody who wanted or who was invited would take their phone, take a little video of themselves and put it up on that little Facebook group, right? So here are some of the people who actually did that. I'm just going to show them to you there. And you see down here, you actually have the subtitles in English because, we have them in different languages. We had English, we had Spanish, and we had Hungarian, right? So all of these women gave beautiful, short videos, either speaking about, it could be union, it could be how they got to know the other institute, it could be something that they were passionate about in life. And it was, they're very, very lovely videos. And if you haven't seen them, go to that Facebook group, right? And here we have the most recent one that was sent, which was a video of a little group of the elderly sisters in Neuburg in Germany. There they are at their Eucharist, and that video was taken up in there. And here we are today. After all of that, it all went by very quickly, and this is our meeting today, 6 months later. So and then just to kind of finalize, I suppose as we were looking at, what we've been trying to do and what we've been trying to offer, we were also saying to ourselves, let's hope that this will be continued in different ways, you know, and that is basically up to everyone, you know, to make sure that these connections that we've made, that we continue to keep them up. So that is that, and thank you very much. I just right there.
So thank you very much indeed, Cecilia. That was wonderful. Now we're going to see how this process of working towards union has been for us. First, we asked the archivist to do some work for us. So from the CJ English province, Dr. Hannah Thomas will talk to you about what she felt about it.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I am the province archivist for the English province based at the Bar Convent in York. I worked closely with Sister Patricia Harris on putting together this history of the province, the pictorial history of the province particularly. We really enjoyed putting the pictorial history together. We found it quite useful for our own purposes as well, actually. During lockdown over the last year or so, one of the projects we've spent our time working on remotely and from home has been our archive catalogues, particularly our English province collection, and we've been restructuring and reorganising to make sure that the structure of the catalogue really tells the story properly of the history of the province and its role today as part of the global CJ family. During lockdown, this could only be done on a computer from home, which meant that the boxes and papers themselves in the office in the convent still had to be reorganised. So one of the jobs that we hadn't yet got around to was clarifying which photos belonged to which house and things. So doing this pictorial photo history really presented us with a wonderful opportunity to sort through those photos and to reorganise them and relabel them accordingly. And it also helped just to clarify everything a little bit for us, as it's a fairly complex story, as you'll have seen from the history of, you know, various names and dates and places. So it was a really useful exercise to clarify it in our own heads as well. And it was also a really lovely excuse to spend a couple of afternoons just happily browsing through boxes of wonderful photographs. We hold a huge number of photographs at the Bar Convent in the province collection, and we've been too busy really before now to sort of sit down and properly absorb them. So it was a lovely excuse to sit down and really immerse ourselves in that pictorial history of the province as well. And I think one thing in particular that really struck me doing the history of the province was those close links with the sisters who've worked hard on preserving and presenting Mary Ward's story. So sisters who have conducted research, preserved archive documents, pulled things together, and presented the various biographies that we're all now familiar with. I hadn't properly appreciated the English province's role in that, and the several members of the province who had worked really hard on that across several generations. So I think all in all, the photo history was a really worthwhile exercise, and one I think will be very useful for us going forward, as well as a really lovely resource to have in our collections.
So thank you very much, Hannah, for that. And I noticed there are quite a few people who have been on the chat. That's great. Continue with it. And now we have from Romania, Ekaterina will tell us what was new for them during these 6 months.
Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be with you here online. My name is Ekaterina, and I am the ambassador of CJ Romania. It is a great joy to have been given me the chance to be a member of this wonderful group of ambassadors, Susannah Rookwood, and to accompany the sister from my country in the process of union. What was new for us in this process? All getting to know each other webinars gave us the opportunity to meet online sisters from the other branch, as we used to call the IBVM sister here in Romania, where unfortunately they do not have any community. We found out many interesting things about their history and about the ministry of the sisters. And in the same time, the dialogue open between us led to a deeper understanding of the historical reason for our congregation separation. I am sure this was only a small bit of the test of what union brings, which raised in us now more interest in the lives of IBVM sisters, and I hope we shall keep in touch. I think with virtual contact, the Facebook, the emails will not be only one possibility for contacting each other, but there will come a time when we can also visit each other, spend more time together. It is a wonderful feeling to know that we will be one and that the Merryworth family will be so big one day. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Hello. I seem to have gone.
You're okay, Mary.
Okay.
Can somebody get me back in, please?
You
Yeah,
are in.
You're okay.
We can hear you and see you.
Well, I can't see anything, which is a bit of a blow. However, let's continue. So, thank you, Ekaterina. And now Margot from the Irish province will tell us about how people in the different provinces have got in touch with each other. Margot, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, that would have helped. I'll start again. So, Dies Wirragriff. And I am Margot from the Irish province. I'm going to share with you today about our person-to-person communication, or pen pals, as some of us like to say. It may sound a little outdated, but it is simply a way of getting to know and keeping in touch with one another. Today we use emails, text messages, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Zoom, and so much more. It's exciting to realize how many of us are becoming familiar with this new technology. Perhaps we went there kicking and shouting. I certainly did. However, I have to admit it has been worth the effort. Clearly, the chance to share stories is attractive and seems to form the initial stage of our new friendships. We explore common interests, and for some, earlier meetings bring back happy memories and open up new areas to explore together. For many, finding out how much we have in common is also very exciting and takes away the mystery of the unknown. One person made a statement that is so true. We have more in common than not. Yes, union has become not just an abstract concept or beautiful ideal, but something real and personal. Even language is not necessarily the barrier we might fear. Reaching out with even a smattering of another language is welcome. Modern technology can help, and Google can become a good friend. For some, the desire to improve their language skills has brought them together. In Spain and in Italy, for example, phone calls have become commonplace in trying to perfect their English language skills. Some of our Irish sisters have attempted to revive their knowledge of a foreign language, which may have been dormant for some years. Sisters, let's keep it up. One day we'll have the chance to use it again when we meet our new friends abroad. Ryanair will be busy. For some, Zoom meetings have allowed us to see our pen friends for the first time. For example, one sister was delighted to see her friend when her name was called and she saw her raise her hand to say hello. Such opportunities have brought us face to face with each other, so that when we hear CJ or IBVM, we have specific people in mind. We are indeed one community of women, followers of Mary Ward. And it is in this context of Mary Ward that another sister expressed her deep appreciation of sharing herself just as she is, and finding that her trust was reciprocated. She claimed this experience to be a true Mary Ward encounter. Show yourself as you are and be as you appear. She came away feeling that they had known each other for a long time. It is our hope that new initiatives will continue to emerge as we move forward together. A good example of this is the spirituality group that Elena will share about next. We have so much in common, and we need the support of one another. The experience for all of us who have shared about our new friendships is one of gratitude, and indeed excitement that something new is opening up. And before I close, may I dare to suggest that we send picture postcards to each other over the summer holidays, even if it is a little old-fashioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Margot. Now we will hear about one of the groups that have been set up with our two branches working together, the spirituality group. And it's Elena from Romania who will tell us about it.
Hello, everyone. I'm a little bit nervous to speak in English in front of you all, but I try. I'm glad that we have this opportunity to share a little of our common paths entitled To Know Each Other, which began in October last year. I'm Elena from Congregation of Jesus in Romania, and I'm part of the spirituality group. The group is made of IBVM and CJ sisters from countries such as England, Spain, Slovakia, Germany, and Romania. In this small group, each sister introduced herself personally, told us little about her province, and sometimes a few points were reached regarding the culture and the needs of the country of origin. Each time I felt joy in my heart, meeting in this group with sisters who carry out more or less the same mission as me. Listening to each other, I had a feeling of being at home, and that Mary Ward's spirit is the one that creates communion and unity between us. As languages of communication, we helped each other with English, German, Spanish, and we thank Sister Eva, Marion, and Isabel for their help in this direction and for the organization. Personally, I would be grateful to continue these international meetings, to share our experiences and to enrich each other. I believe that the services of each of us fulfill what Mary Ward already believed. As a pioneer since the 16th century, women in time to come will do much. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena, and very good English. So now if you could get your fingers onto the chat button and tell us when you met a member of the other branch. So when did you first meet a member of the other branch?
Should I have to answer? Or?
No, chat button. Okay, that was wonderful, amazing. We've had 99 on the chat, which is pretty good. So We now go on to hearing from Bernadette Turtle from the IBVM UK province, who will tell us about the experience of sisters in our care homes. Bernadette?
I'm coming in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Good, good.
Let me move back a little bit. So I'm here in Llandudno, North Wales, with some of my companions here. And this is what our experience seems to be. First of all, it was a very heartwarming experience, and we're greatly uplifted by it. It broadened our rather limited knowledge of CJ sisters in general, not in the English province. We're quite well familiar with that, but not across the world. We were delighted to hear the foundation history of each province. That was really helpful and very interesting. And we found we had a lot in common, even with sisters in different cultures. We were very proud to be connected with so many great women around the world. The experience really did increase our desire for union. We were in awe of the many sisters of other countries who could speak English, because we certainly couldn't rise to that occasion in other languages. So more power to everybody who were speaking in another language than their own. Great. Now, we did feel that because Zooming is quite a new experience for us, we did struggle a little bit, but we got used to it along the way, and we found that we accustomed ourselves to it. Anybody who has hearing aids, or we've got quite a collection of us here with hearing problems, you will know that any extraneous noises are exaggerated with a hearing aid. So we did find a little difficulty with a lot of the noise going on at once. So what we did appreciate was when people spoke very slowly, when the slides were used to explain what was going on, when words or prayers and quotations were displayed. That was really helpful. And when there were photographs, we just love photographs. We find that really, really helpful. So all in all, we want to say thank you for the experience, and to all the ambassadors who worked so hard to bring it about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernadette. Now we will hear how the experience of getting to know the CJ provinces in Eastern Europe has been for the IBVM provinces. And Renok is going to tell us about this.
Hello, everybody. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. It's wonderful to be able to have an opportunity to speak, especially to the CJ sisters in Eastern Europe. I want to say a special word of appreciation, and I'm sure many of you will join me in this. They have shared so much with us during the past months, a lot of which we didn't know about. We have been deeply touched by what we have learned about how you and the sisters who went before you in your various countries and provinces have suffered during the communist regime. Ireland, throughout its past history, has known oppression and persecution, religious and otherwise, but we have not experienced it in our lifetime as you have. Even the Second World War did not affect us very much in Ireland, except our sisters on the Gibraltar mission. We often wondered how you lived and coped through the oppression and persecution of the communist regime. And it has been humbling for us to hear the history of your suffering during the 40 years or so of communism. We have greatly admired your resilience and courage. To have had wonderful foundations and ministries in places like Romania, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Ukraine, and elsewhere for so many years, and then to lose it all so brutally after 1948 must have been a very difficult part of your history. To suffer the loss of everything, fine properties, wonderful ministries, the established structures of religious life must have been beyond human comprehension. We can't imagine what it was like to have to leave your religious house and community, return to secular life, go underground to prison or escape abroad, live alone, and find ways of earning a living, working in factories or on farms, or wherever you could earn money on which to live. We were so moved to hear of the 40 years of suffering, humiliation, imprisonment, threats, even death in some cases. And we wondered how the Institute could have survived during those years of communist dictatorship, having no contact with Rome or your sisters in the other European houses. It must have seemed like the end of your life as an institute. And yet you survived and flourished as true Mary Ward women, following her example and faithful to her charism. You have surely had a courageous and wonderful history following our founder's tradition. Mary Ward must be so proud of her daughters. We are grateful to have all that experience, to share kinship with you, to know that we are privileged too to be part of the same Mary Ward family, with the same values and spiritual DNA. It's wonderful to know that in spite of all you went through, many young women began to join you again in the 1980s and 90s when it was permitted, and that you have so many young Mary Ward followers again now, and that new and fruitful ministries have begun again. God is surely rewarding and blessing you for those heroic years. And we pray, especially during this season of Pentecost, that the Holy Spirit may bring you many and continued blessings in your lives. We pray too that we may soon be united as one institute and to join you as one Mary Ward family with one mission for the greater glory of God. Thank you for the wonderful experience you have given us, and thank you to the ambassadors for all you have done to help on this union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rena. And now we'll ask Judith from Hungary, who will talk about the need for translation and what it has involved for us.
Hello, everyone. I am very happy to be here with you and on this great occasion to be together. So one of the differences between CJ and IBVM is surely the language variegation. The CJ is present in 4 continents, and everywhere are sisters from several nations with different native languages. This is similar to the IBVM, but because there are about 600 sisters in Europe who are citizens of 9 or 10 countries without a common language, we always need a lot of translation. Unfortunately, since 20-30 years, most of the superiors in the different provinces didn't ask sisters or didn't give the possibility to the younger sisters to learn English, although it has been our common language since the GC in 1993. As a regular translator of the circular letters into Hungarian, I am always very aware about translation issues. On international occasions like this meeting, my first thoughts are how to solve the translation as well as technically, now in online platforms, and personally, who can do the translation. And thirdly, we have to be aware of the time issue in both cases, in written and in oral translation. For example, when we have a meeting and there is no possibility to a simultaneous translation, then we are losing a lot of time because of consecutive translation, which means people have to speak in smaller bits, which has to be translated bit by bit. So the conversation can't be fluent and needs much more time. The technical issue is an essential one as well. We had our nightmare in December when we had our webinar meeting. We thought we are well prepared with people who would do the translation and with the devices we needed. In the last minute, it turned out that the Zoom doesn't function with 7 languages, which need translation. So in a hurry, we had to find other solutions like Skype or mobile phone, etc. Fortunately, by now, we could find out what the problem in December was, so now we know how the Zoom is working in case of having more than 2 languages. So we hope that everything is functioning well now. A special and grateful thanks to all our translators now and every time. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Judith. And that is our last presentation. So if every English speaker would go into English, please, because Maria Paz is going to say the union prayer in Spanish. Ready, Maria Paz?
Sí. Oración por la unión. Dios de amor, Padre de todos los padres, amigo de los amigos. Tú llamaste a María Bar y a sus compañeras para ser pioneras de nuevos caminos para las religiosas de su época. A lo largo de los siglos, en diversos lugares y tiempos, sus seguidoras han buscado hacer realidad ese sueño. Hoy, como miembros de la Congregación de Jesús y del Instituto de la Bienaventurada Virgen María, estamos dispuestas a responder a la llamada a la unión. Espíritu liberador, líbranos de todo temor, llénanos de felicidad al avanzar juntas, como un solo instituto, con una misión para la mayor gloria de Dios. Si es tu voluntad, Jesús, di amén.
So it's time for us to have the last words that come from Abiela from Slovakia.
Thank you, Mary Luke. So we are about to end our Susan Rookwood region meeting. But before doing so, I would like to say a few words of thanks. The last 6 months have been a new experience for us. We've had a lot of meetings, met many challenges, either technical or other. We have said a lot of words, either spoken or written, and made new friends. We started with great expectation, but we do not end today. We continue with a great desire to get to know each other and become one community. This is the reason why I would like to thank in the first place our sisters, ambassadors, who have willingly accepted this service. Mary Luke, Anna, Monica, Judith, Ekaterina, Maria Paz, Eva, Una, Margot. A special thank you goes to Sister Cecilia, who has taken up the leadership of our group and of our meetings. And thank you to our team, Isabel from Spain, who has translated at all our sessions, and Esther, a friend of Mary Ward from Germany, who has been our technical support. A big thank you thought belongs to each and every CJ and IBVM sister, without whom these meetings would have been impossible. Thank you for your prayers, your attendance during webinars, that you were communicative, and for our discussions. Many of you worked in the background to prepare information for sharing in different forms. Many thanks to the translators who have helped us to understand each other at our different province to province meetings over the last 3 months, and who have been with us today. Adina, Alison, Susa, Jana, Giovanna, Hilmtrud, and others. I do believe this year has been a witness to us, and even women can perform great things, as Mary Ward did. Let us keep then our hearts open to God, sisters, and to the way of becoming one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abiela. So goodbye and thank you from me too. And I now invite you to come out of translation and say hello to each other.